guys, today I'm going to be doing a review on the TV series Defending Jacob. So, before I do head into this review, a quick disclaimer. I don't plan on having any sort of spoilers in this video. This is definitely the type of show you need to go into kind of as blind as you can. But yeah, if you have seen Defending Jacob, feel free to talk about it in the comments with me down below if you loved or hated the show. And yeah, how did you feel about that ending? So yeah, let's get going. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a review of Defending Jacob. This is a 8-episode mini-series, essentially. I don't think they plan on doing a second season at all. I don't see how they would do a second season, to be quite honest. So yeah, Defending Jacob, I believe, is just an 8-episode, 1-season sort of deal, which is good. Airing on the streaming service, Apple TV Plus, whatever the hell that channel's called. There's so many streaming services, you guys. I can't keep up with half of them. Anyway, Defending Jacob, it stars Chris Evans from Avengers fame, Michelle Dockery, who you might know from Downton Abbey, and Jaden Martell, who is playing the title character Jacob. And yeah, some other cast in there as well. But yeah, those are kind of the main three: Chris Evans, Michelle Dockery, and Jaden Martell, that are the most important. So, Defending Jacob, what you need to know: the show is about Chris Evans' character. His name is Andy Barber. He is an assistant district attorney in Massachusetts, and he gets a call one day to go and investigate the murder of this teenage boy who has been found brutally stabbed in the woods. So through a series of events, Andy's own son, played by Jaden Martell, Jacob becomes a prime suspect in the murder of this teenage boy, which is a fellow classmate of his. So that's essentially what this whole show is about. It's this murder investigation. Is Jacob Barber, is he innocent or is he guilty? And this show, you guys, wow, I was thoroughly impressed from start to finish. I feel like this is going to be a show, it just kind of depends on you as a viewer, your tastes in like pacing, I suppose. Because for me personally, I loved every single episode. The pacing, there can be perhaps a bit of a slow pace to it, a slow burn, if you will, but that's something that never bothered me. It kind of never really felt slow to me, but I have seen other reviewers mention that it felt slow to them and they felt like not much was happening. And to that, I gotta say, I don't know if we were watching the same show, because to me the show moved at a really good pace, and I felt like there's a lot always going on at any given time. And there's just a really great atmospheric tension and suspense, and this kind of overwhelming sense of uncertainty and questioning. And I just absolutely love this show from start to finish. Just meticulously crafted, I think. And another thing, this is also based off of the book of the same name by William Landay, I believe his last name is pronounced. And I have yet to read the book, but I'm very excited to read it, because I did get a copy of it so I can read eventually. And to my understanding, because me personally, I kind of got a few little spoilers after watching the series, that book to screen is a little bit different in certain areas. So I kind of know a few things that are a little bit different in the book, which is very interesting. Some creative choices that the show made, which I kind of like the creative choices the show made. You know, now that I know some of the spoilers that happen in the book, I like the creative choices that the show made, because it does lend a deeper sense of uncertainty and questioning, I think, compared to the book, perhaps. My understanding of what happens in the book. So yeah, if you're a fan of the book, you might be in for some nice little twists and turns along the way, a few little tweaks here and there. So, as I mentioned, this show is essentially a murder investigation about the death of a teenage boy, the possibility if his fellow classmate, Jacob, did he murder him out in the woods, stab him to death. On the surface, that is the show. The show is this murder investigation leading to the trial, like in the penultimate episode, pretty much. But there's a lot more deeper things going on in the show, which I really appreciated, because the show is not only about this murder investigation, but it's a family drama when it boils down to it. It's a really intense family drama, and the depths that parents will go to protect their child, whether their child is innocent or guilty of a crime, that doesn't mean that a parent stops loving their child, you know? So yeah, that's a big issue in this show, this big emotional family drama. And yeah, Chris Evans and Michelle Dockery, their characters, they're just really trying to support their son, but also trying to come to grips with the term that, well, their son could be a murderer. So yeah, just kind of looking at my notes really quickly, because I don't want to leave out any important things. Yeah, the whole show, it functions as kind of this whole thing of, is Jacob innocent or guilty? Does it even matter at the end of the day? Which is a very important question that you gotta kind of answer by the end of the final episode. The show is also, like I said, it's much deeper than a murder investigation. It's also just a commentary on media, I think. You know, you get on the news and there's a big high profile murder investigation and trial going on, and we consume it like it's a reality TV show almost, you know, and there's something kind of horrible about that when you think about it, how we watch these high profile murder cases and we're just so glued to our screens, and we're wanting there to be a guilty murderer somewhere in there, you know. So this show is definitely a commentary on unfortunately our obsession with these high profile murder cases, commenting on public opinion, because public opinion is such a big thing when it comes to these cases, because public opinion, we automatically have some sort of opinion about the investigation. You know, whether or not we know all the details, we still form an opinion just by looking at somebody, reading somebody's language, reading their body language. We immediately form an opinion. So yeah, the show's definitely a big commentary on just the nature of public opinion, how we view innocence, how we view guilt, this degree of celebrity that often happens with these cases, that the murderer kind of pops out of this whole thing and the person's like a horrible human being, but we give them this sense of celebrity in a perverted way, you know, because of us sitting here glued to our screens watching these high profile cases, and we're making these people famous, you know. And as I mentioned, it's a big family drama for the most part, and this case, like I said, their son, he's only 14, and the boy who was murdered, I think, was also 14 in the show. So yeah, the family, they're dealing with the fact that their son is only 14 years old. He still has his life ahead of him, and yeah, whether he's innocent or guilty or whatever, this is going to ruin his life ultimately, and there is no coming back from this, no matter the verdict. And yeah, this whole trial and investigation, it puts an incredible stress and strain on the family, and yeah, the parents constantly questioning, you know, is our son innocent or guilty? Do we have some sort of degree of responsibility for his actions, you know? There's so much debate. There's a lot of commentary about parenting, I think, in this video. you know, what makes a good parent, what makes a bad parent, your personal level of responsibility when your child does something, if you have any responsibility at all. And like I mentioned at the top of this review, I'm not going to have any spoilers, but I do feel like it's important to make notes in case this is not a show for you personally. If you feel like you don't want to waste your time or effort or your investment, I think what I'm about to say is something important that you need to know before you take the time to watch these 8 episodes. This show, like I said, without giving away spoilers, this show, by the time you do reach the finale, you don't really get any answers. I'll kind of leave it at that. You don't really get any answers about kind of some of the bigger things going on. So if you feel like you're somebody who's going to watch this show and get to the finale and none of your questions have been answered and you're just going to feel disappointed and let down by this might be something you want to steer clear of. You know, if that's something that irritates you personally as a viewer. But yeah, for me personally, because I have consumed a lot of stuff, you know, whether that be movies or television or books. I've consumed a lot of things, you know, mystery thrillers, and a lot of times in mystery thrillers, suspense novels, a lot of times you don't really get all of the answers that you're craving. A lot of times an open ending is exactly what an author kind of wants and intends, because it's up to you, the viewer or the reader, to form a greater opinion. You know, that's kind of the point. So me personally, I kind of walked into this show with the assumption at the very, very beginning, thinking to myself, you know what, I have a feeling we're not going to get all the answers by the end. You know, whether Jacob is innocent or guilty, you know. I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be very open-ended for you, the viewer, to really form an opinion. It's kind of up to you. That's the whole point of this show, I think. So yeah, for me personally, I walked into the show kind of being prepared for that. And yeah, I left the show still being very satisfied emotionally, I think. So yeah, like I said, hopefully this doesn't really feel like too much of a spoiler, because I don't really want it to be. But yeah, I think it's important to note, if you're the type of viewer that you don't like things being left open, left hanging, if that's something that's going to frustrate you, this might not be the show for you. But yeah, if you're fine with open-ended finales, you'll probably really enjoy this. So yeah, just going over the cast very quickly, because I definitely want to highlight just some of these really terrific performances, because yeah, the writing is stunning, you guys. The writing is stunning. So yeah, add on these top-notch performances, it just really elevates this drama and whatnot. Yeah, Chris Evans playing Andy Barber, the assistant district attorney, the father of Jacob. Yeah, Chris Evans, he proves in this role that he is more than a pretty face. He is more than just the role of Captain America. I was just thoroughly impressed with Chris Evans in this role. He had such a weight and a depth, and I really connected to him emotionally, I think. His performance was just stunning and amazing, and it was really nice to see him in something outside of, you know, the Captain America movies. And then Michelle Dockery, who plays Lori Barber. Michelle Dockery, I mean, I first watched her on Downton Abbey for several years, and I loved her on Downton Abbey, so I knew she could act automatically. But yeah, I've hardly ever seen her in a contemporary role, you know, because Downton Abbey was a historical drama. So it's really nice to see her in a contemporary role playing this distraught mother. I really loved Michelle Dockery's performance in this. I think out of all of the characters, she's going through a lot. She is the mother. She feels the most weight of responsibility since she kind of brought him up, more so than Andy, I think. But yeah, Michelle Dockery just such a hefty weight to her performance. You really connect with her, you feel for her, you sympathize with her, you feel like you're just going down that rabbit hole with her, with all this confusion and questioning. And then, yeah, the title character of Jacob Barber, played by Jaden Martell, seriously, this show needed to work with his performance. This show is essentially all about him, and if he was a terrible child actor, this show would not have worked. It would have fell apart. And I found his performance very compelling and interesting and very engaging, and I would always kind of be staring at him, you know, trying to look for like some sort of telltale hint or clue, you know. He really played the role incredibly well, and I think very calculating in his performance, you know, like, I need to play it this way, I need to play it that way. And he behaved like a teenager to me, for the most part. You know, he came across as your typical angsty, you know, I don't care about things, you know, teenager. He was very, very just believable, in my opinion, and it added to that sense of, God, is he innocent? Is he guilty? Is he a master manipulator? Who knows? And then one final performance, I do gotta give a quick shout out to Pablo Schreiber, who plays Neil. He's a co-worker of Andy's, and he's essentially the lawyer for the parents of the murdered teenage boy. He's on the opposite end there, wanting to, you know, say, hey, Jacob is guilty. Jacob murdered this boy. Pablo Schreiber, brilliant performance from him as well. He does a great job of being a douchebag in this. He's a bit of a jerk and an ass. And it was really fun to watch him in this performance, because the only other thing I've seen Pablo Schreiber in, he was playing the drunken Irish leprechaun, Mad Sweeney, on American Gods, and I loved him on that, so I was really thrilled to see him pop up on this show in a very vastly different type of role. And yeah, the character of Neil is just a really great foil to the Barber family. You know, the Barber family is doing everything in their power to help their son defend Jacob, essentially. And yeah, Neil is doing everything in his power, of course, you know, to give justice to the boy who has been murdered, obviously. But yeah, overall, you guys, a brilliant show from start to finish, in my opinion. I loved every damn episode. I could easily sit and rewatch it again, you know, even though I know how it ends. That I don't think that would ruin my enjoyment rewatching it. You know, if anything, I think knowing how it ends, it'd be interesting to kind of watch it and kind of maybe pick up on some clues here and there, you know. But yeah, I love the show. I really recommend it. If you love a good suspense family drama, a murder investigation sort of thing, I definitely recommend this show. And yeah, it'd be up to you, you know, how you feel about that ending, because the ending can be a bit conflicting. Like I said, you're either going to get answers for some things, and some things you're not. So if that frustrates you, you might want to steer clear of the show. But yeah, overall, I love the show. Recommend it. So you guys, that is it for my review of Defending Jacob. In the comments below, have you guys seen this show? Do you plan on watching it? And like I mentioned earlier, if you have seen this show, feel free to talk about spoilers down in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.